don't know about you, but things are heating up and heating up, and central banks are running out of options. After all, they've been zero bound and their balance sheets are huge. I just feel so bad for these central bankers that are losing choices, but don't worry, I think they have some other ideas. Remember, I've told you right along that China is really teaching the world, the central banks, the governments, how to control the population. And whether or not you realize it, our options and choices have grown more and more narrow over that time. And what have we taught China? Well, China can consider US-style QE. Well, okay, just print money. Modern money theory, even though they don't admit to actually doing it, this is really what the central bankers have been doing since 2008. Modern money theory can inspire China to make sure central bank easing supports government spending. Except what they don't tell you is that every single time, no, which one's that one? Every single time they do this, whatever is out there loses value. But hey, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same results. You know, are we going to get different results? Probably not. The deficit cut reflects old-fashioned financial thinking. Wow, you should balance your budget. How about you and I just take some credit cards and go out and spend and spend and spend, and then when we've maxed out those cards, we can tell the credit card companies we're just doing what the central bankers are doing. That's old-fashioned thinking that you think I have to pay that bill. My goodness. In reality, China is already transitioning to functional finance, where fiscal spending is set based on the economy's need instead of expected revenue. Let's see. I have heard my kids say many times that they needed a new bike or they needed a new toy. Do you really need it, or was it that you wanted it? You need food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. That's what you need. But forget all of that, because as we know, it is very easy to spend other people's money. And when governments spend taxpayers' money, that's exactly what they're doing. And it's a very easy thing to do. Whether you are a government, a corporation, or an individual, ultimately the laws of finance, or actually nature's law of economics, it always ends up the same way. You can't just create something new or spend this much money and expect everything to be hunky-dory. Nothing's going to change. Are you kidding? But don't call what we're doing here MMT, modern money theory. However, I really do believe if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck and it lays eggs like a duck, yeah, it's probably a duck. It shows that concerns pertaining to central banks' policy solvency and equity positions, that they create these things out of thin air, can be addressed through a careful assessment of a central bank's loss-absorbing capacity. It's really all based on confidence and trust, and if need be, tiered reserve remuneration policies. So in other words, they create this debt out of thin air, and that's the Chinese central bank, but we're doing the same darn things. Doesn't really matter. And then we have the interest, the taxpayers have the interest on that debt to pay. That's the reserve remuneration. And tiered meaning you can have different levels of that. So my bet would be that the corporations get it the cheapest, but the public, it's going to cost more. Shocker, that's the way they always do it. But really, the question is, do they have a choice? They're throwing anything on the wall to see what will stick. Most advanced economies had been stuck at or close to the effective lower bound. In other words, zero interest rates. And interest rates are the single biggest tool of central banks to regulate the rate and speed of inflation, right? So now they have to raise rates. It's going to be really interesting to see how many times they raise them before they're forced to turn around and lower them again. They've got to do it for their credibility, but they've been telling us how great the economy is doing and how great the consumer is doing. Due to persistently sluggish demand and insufficient fiscal support, are you flipping kidding me? Central banks have been resorting to an ever-expanding array of unconventional monetary policies in order to meet their price stability target and broader economic goals. What is price stability? It is the price at which you, the worker, you don't really pay any attention to inflation, and therefore you don't ask for an increase in your wages. But frankly, that's come to an end. It's over. So that means price stability is over. And that means more people are going to lose confidence in the central banks and in the monetary system. Money for free? Yeah, of course they're going to take it and they're going to spend it. But what we've seen is when governments do that, they spend what's in there. But if you expect them to then start depositing and using that same system, they're not so cooperative. Yeah, they'll take it for free. Why not? I mean, you're going to do that, aren't you? Stock market bubble is bursting. Bond market bubble is bursting. The real estate market, there are signs of it bursting, but not as big signs as the stock markets and the bond markets. But this was an overt target for reflation. And I would say that it was very targeted and also very successful, unfortunately. But did it trickle down to the masses? No. And frankly, they've known that trickle-down theory does not work, and they've known it for a really long time. So the central bank giveth, and the central bank can taketh away. You're not spending it fast enough? Hey, this is programmable money. We can make it evaporate. We can set it up so that you can only spend it in these places. Frankly, if the central bank decides to give me money, if I have the ability to do so, I'm buying gold and silver with it. I'm converting that garbage into something real. Real money. Real money. I'm trying to show you what's going on and what their intention is and what their plan is so that you can make educated choices that take you out of their system, out,